So welcome everyone. Welcome to our webinar with James Diamond, who's just done our program through the Rocket Seeder program. So welcome, and yeah, looking forward to a really good session. Taylor's going to be running the slides thank you Taylor, because for some reason they wouldn't load. So we'll move through my slides and then we'll go on to James, and then we'll have a chat throughout the webinar. So please place comments in the chat or come off mute or raise your hand, whatever you prefer. So on to the next slide. Thanks, Taylor. So I'll just start with a welcome to country. I'd like to begin by acknowledging where we are meeting. I'm on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri, Woi Wurrung and Bunurong peoples of the East Kulin Nations, and pay our respects, or my respects, to their elders past, present and emerging. And on our behalf, I'd like to extend that respect to all Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders wherever we're meeting, and we acknowledge their living connection to country, relationship with the land, and all living things extending back tens of thousands of years. Thanks, Taylor. So the session outline for today is we'll talk briefly. I'll take you through Rocket Seeder, who Rocket Seeder is, who I am, what is AgTech Seeds, and then we'll have a chat with James Diamond from AirAgri, who's a co-founder and CEO. Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, so my name is Nikki Marks. I'm the program manager for the AgTech Seeds program, and I work for Rocket Seeder. And Rocket Seeder is an accelerator for early stage startups in the food and agriculture sector in Australia. And we support startups to develop solutions to the world's biggest problems in the food and agriculture sector, including but not limited to innovation in on-farm efficiency, supply chain automation, future food innovation, and reducing food loss and waste along the value chain, which, as we all hear a lot about at the moment, is very topical. So the solutions we support are aligned to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, so we can build an ecosystem that will have a positive impact in Australia and beyond. Yeah, so we've got a local and global focus. Thanks, Taylor. So the AgTech Seeds program is a fully funded program for early stage researchers and entrepreneurs to develop and validate innovative ideas in AgTech. AgTech Seeds is a partnership between Rocket Seeder and Cruxis Innovation, and thank you very much, Emily and Jonathan from Cruxis, for joining us today. And the program is supported by LaunchVic and AgricultureVic, and thank you very much to the AgVic team, Steve, Lena and Mark, for joining us today. So the program provides an introduction to key business skills, connections to potential partners and customers, access to a team of expert mentors and advisors, and thank you, we've got some of our mentors here today, and provide support to develop a minimum viable product for qualifying products. So that's what AgTech Seeds is, and the program will be running 4 times over the course of the funding, and it's run once, and we've got this program coming up and then another 2. Thanks, Taylor. So the timeline for the program is applications are due for the next program by the 28th of November. The program commences on the 3rd of February and our launch day will be on the 13th of Feb with a final showcase on the 1st of May. Thanks, Taylor. So if you're interested in the program, please email me directly at my email address, which you can see on the screen, or contact us through our socials or through our webpage. I can put that in the chat as well, or Taylor can add the link to the application form in the chat too. Thanks, Taylor, or anyone that would like to. Okay, so over to James, introducing James. And James sent us this picture. So this is James, I guess, at Mansfield, moving cattle through, yes, the animal health procedure, I would assume is there, but James can tell us more about that. So James is the co-founder and CEO of AirAgri, along with his brother Paul. James has combined his business experience in data manipulation and insights with his love of farming and marketing to launch AirAgri in 2021. So when I asked James to provide a bio, this is what he sent me, and you'll see that James is very good with words and very good at marketing. James Diamond was born and bred in Victoria and has spent the past 2 decades in local and global technology businesses solving challenges with people, technology and data. But no matter where he was working around the world, home was always on the farm with his family and livestock in Mansfield in Victoria's high country. James and his brother Paul now aim to tackle arguably the most important challenge of them all, safety on farms, not to help farmers manage forms and collect signatures, but to unlock the insights behind decision-making on farms and how this can reduce or contribute to the risk seen on farms every day. Their mission is clear, and that is to protect Aussie farming families in ways that drive down uncertainty and improve safety while influencing productivity and sustainability via world-first property-specific insights derived out of AI and IoT. So, James, there's three things I'm hoping we can cover through this conversation. And we welcome questions, as I said, as we go. Please put them in the chat, raise your hand, or just come off mute. Can we start with your story, James? How AirAgri was born, then how you found out about Rocket Seeder and AgTech Seeds, and finally what you got out of the program. Thanks. Over to you, James.
Thanks, Nikki. And thanks to everyone from all the related parties. Obviously, these programs aren't made possible without this, I guess, support and contribution of coaches, stakeholders, Crux's Innovation and AgTech Seeds, as well as the Victorian departments. So appreciate and really grateful for being given this opportunity, but also the opportunity of going through the course. That image was half by accident, half by design. It's an image that shows you where we started this journey 2 and a bit years ago. We, as sort of cattle and merino sheep farmers in Mansfield, really were frustrated with the lack of opportunity and the limited options for farmers to come into technology. The only options were expensive, complex, and limited, really. So we started executing on conversations that probably started around the family table in 1994, talking about technology and how, why are we, my grandfather, my uncle, and now my brother, always walking around with a notepad in our top pockets, marking out where animals are being moved and, what is a rudimentary solution, but something that's worked for generations. And only now in the last sort of 5 years have we seen the combination of Australian cloud service providers, infrastructure solutions in Australia, in conjunction with insights and a bit more of an understanding of how we can drive value to farmers. So 2 years ago, we started on this idea. We were actually probably the first ones to be doing individual livestock record keeping and management, and that image is actually an example of us with our own developed hardware, our own scanning the NLIS tag in the cow's ear, and then seamlessly recording activities and treatments back into AirAgri. To give you the full end case, where we end up now is only a byproduct of the program that we've gone through. And while we entered this whole process trying to work out how to do better property management, we're all good. Worked out through the process of this program that property management and individual livestock record keeping was not what was keeping farmers or their families up at night, or indeed where there was a necessity. And I think over the course of this webinar, we're going to go through our journey on how we thought we had something right. And only through being open, transparent, and willing to take on feedback were we able to come out through the other side and pivot to some degree and really anchor to what is actually a bigger challenge, a bigger opportunity, and a significant necessity for commercial farming families across Australia. So, Nikki, to your question around how did we find AgTech Seeds, I believe it was a combination of just scratching a head thinking, holy, what are we going to do? Like we've been working on this for 2 years. We legitimately had wrote press releases to go to market, and we were about to tell everyone what we'd been doing, and we were ready to tell the world. And we thought we should probably validate this idea with some other people. I wonder how we validate this idea, because the second we go to market, and go to market for everyone in this call could be the idea of taking an idea and telling a family or friend, or in our case, it was taking something that we've been using in isolation on our property and developing, let's call the MVP, and telling the world about it. So it doesn't really matter if it's an idea in your head or if it's a product that you've been sort of developing and using. But it was at that point, I believe, that we looked at the Launch Vic assets, and like anyone naive and new to this space, you just sort of start scratching around thinking there has to be something here. And it was so fortuitous that we found the AgTech Seeds program and the website, had a look through, really liked the idea of industry experts and honestly people that could shoot us down, because we were looking down the barrel of what was a very scary time of committing to something where we hadn't sought industry expertise and validated, right? We'd validated through farmers and our own experience, but as everyone knows, business and this world's a very complex space. So I would encourage anyone to close out that question, Nikki, to go and look at the assets and resources that are available on LaunchVic's website. Obviously, everyone's pushing assets and commentary on social media and all these other places. But if you want to cut through that, that's where we found the value in the program. You know, I think if anything we've learned through COVID, you need structure. You can't just go off and read things yourself. And these programs are probably 50% all about the frameworks and the factory in which you push your ideas through to validate, twist and turn, but then also to work with people hand in hand, talk about your idea. And that's one of the things that we had no idea that we wanted to protect Aussie farming families. And now I can say it like that, right? Because we've been talking to people and curating the ideas and what we want to do and how we want to do it. So Nikki, are you okay if I share my screen? Yeah. I'm going to try and do this.
Fantastic. Thanks.
And what we're going to do is just give you a quick snapshot on what we're trying to achieve at AirAgri, and then we'll go into more open discussions around the program and the value that we extracted out of it. So as Nikki said, first and foremost, she's trying to create a family rift. Paul is actually the CEO. I'm the co-founder, but it is all interchangeable when you're in a founding sort of space, right? Whenever you're starting businesses up, there really isn't titles. It's all about how fast you can validate, keep your ear on the ground, listening to the feedback, and then also, pivoting and changing as you go. So we have a simple mission. We want to create a product and a platform that acts as a gateway into the technology for farmers. We know that 80% of farmers around this country don't utilize any form of technology, ignoring the technology that's probably embedded in some of the sophisticated John Deere tractors. But there's a huge opportunity, as Nikki said, from a sustainability perspective, and just getting smarter and more efficient with what we're doing and how we do it. Farming and ag is significantly behind. So once we create the gateway into technology, we tried to work out, well, what's the value for a farmer? And there's a few things. Don't tell a farmer how to farm. Don't pretend that you know the farmer or the farm's land better than they do. And try and work out where you can add value. And for us, the value is about using technology to create property-specific insights that they can't obtain today, and automate the information as to the right channel at the right time to reduce the risk, right? So it's all about risk and efficiency. But for farmers, they're overwhelmed as it is. So technology for us is about actually reducing the flow of information, but getting the right information to the farmer at the right time. So somewhat a little bit inverted, because some people think that technology is all about increasing the flow of information and turning on the fire hydrant. For us, we actually want to reduce the flow of information and almost become that that sniper weapon, right? By the way, did you realize you're going to have a frost at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning? And that frost alert is specific to the latitude and longitude of that property or the particular paddock in which you're about to go and do an activity. So it's all about precision information. For us, we really break down our features in 4 logical areas. So we're the first ones in the market really to offer what is this digital twin or digital property map. So every single farmer in Australia at the moment with AirAgri is able to come in, create their digital twin by themselves, and first and foremost, create that digital twin and present where all their safety assets are. So it's a basic mandate from a Victorian law perspective to be able to demonstrate in your business where the first aid kits are, where the fire extinguishers are, and where the evacuation points are. But across farms, commercial farms, it's very hard to find, right? So we've created a free tool which helps farmers become compliant, right? What's the layout of my property and where are my safety assets? We then have a series of automated and safety notifications built on proprietary rules that uses location and other bits of information to say, hey, this doesn't look right. James is out in this paddock and not acting the way he should. Send an alert to Paul. And then Paul gets my location on the property and he can act on that. We also have individual profiles. So these profiles carry around with you your emergency details, medical information, etc. So if you go from one farm to another, ideally in the future, I can pull up Paul's profile and get his wife's mobile phone number and quickly call her if there's an incident or an accident. And then obviously the 4th main feature is really about this access to inventory and things like safe handling, working documents. And some farmers have told us that it's like the digital filing cabinet that just sits in their phone, right? So compliance-wise, yes, but also just practical access to information that naturally doesn't sit in the front pocket of the Polaris or the Hilux Ute. Through the program, what we found was really interesting was modeling out and interviewing. And one of the things that you'll find if you engage with the program is this deep drive towards the most valuable and inherent, and funny enough, the free access to information through interviews. And it's one thing that we, thought we'd had covered, but really we uncovered a lot more information when we sort of gone into this mindset of always interviewing. Always interview, always question, and don't necessarily have to go and tell someone what you're doing. You can just say, hey, I've got this idea. Can I have what are your ideas around that? Or what comments do you have? What we did was we broke up the day in the life of a farmer and worked out there was a hell of a lot of information and signals that a farmer looks at indirectly and directly to make a series of decisions over the course of a day, hundreds of decisions a day based on potentially thousands of different signals. And we worked out a fundamental, universal element, which was the lack of property-specific information. So when it comes to weather forecasts, when it comes to the location of individuals on the farm, when it comes to the qualifications of an individual to operate a piece of machinery, that feedback loop was slow, right? So how fast a farmer can get accurate information is very, very timely and slow, but then the accuracy of that information is even worse. So for us, it was all about how can we use technology to influence safety and productivity. We will never be able to engage with farmers about safety, right? Farmers care about one thing, and I won't stand up and show you my back pocket, but that's what it is. It's the cash in their back pocket. So these are highly intelligent individuals of our society, but they are burdened with so much information and so many sort of on-the-fly decisions on a daily basis that there's this inherent opportunity. So the technology is not designed to burden the farmer with new systems and new interfaces. It's about actually giving them a very simple farmer-first approach to technology to help them get access to the information they need when they need it. So things like alerts and insights on pivotal moments, as say, this Paul looks like he's in trouble, but don't worry, he's in this location. The world's first property forecasts. So Australia at the moment, I digress, but our Bureau of Meteorology works on a forecast model that's 12 by 12 kilometres. Now, if you've been on a majority of Australian farms, they're slightly bigger than 12 by 12 kilometres. And also, if you want weather information for your homestead or for a particular location, there could be ridges and topographical information there. So there's a huge opportunity for property level forecasts. And I think everyone can test the events that we've seen over the last few months, and continuously what we see today presents opportunity in that space. The individual profiles, and then obviously that tracking and insight piece. So really what we have today is AirAgri is a cloud-based solution, 100% Australian owned, 100% Australian data sovereignty, which is absolutely mission critical for us. We actually are 100% Victorian owned, which we'll hold on to that as long as we can as well. But for us, what's most critical is that we are farmers building solutions for farmers. We keep it super simple. We try and solve simple but very meaningful and very valuable problems. And, that's, I guess, the purpose of this course, is to go through and take ideas or initial efforts at what a product could be and put it through a stress test. I haven't said this to Nikki or anyone on the team, but it is almost like Ninja Warrior, right? That TV show, right? You start at the start of this course and you have no idea what obstacles you're going to be thrown. But the idea of doing things that you've never done before and putting these ideas through a process that you didn't know existed is how I think you can get to the other side and be at a point where you reduce being a collateral damage through the process of startups, right? So for us, I think we would have definitely been in the 80% of startups fail before the course, because we were completely not aligned. We were probably too broad in what we were trying to achieve and not sort of laser focused. But coming out of the program, I feel that we have a clear understanding of our customer. We have a clear understanding of who we are and what we can try and achieve. And most importantly, we understand what success looks like, and we can measure that on a monthly and sort of annual basis. That whole process of clarity, I think we'll talk about now for a few minutes, but I think, Nikki, we can go into sort of Q&A now. But for us, it's one of those things that you don't know what you don't know. And I think I started with this, which is the ability of being open and transparent and open to ideas is probably one of the most valuable traits that we had coming into this. We'd done a lot of work, but we were happy to throw it all out. We were confident. We have thrown certain things out. But yeah, it's really, really exciting. And the only other thing I'd say is the network of people that we didn't know existed, right? So in ag, we all come from different spaces, and some of them aren't from sort of metro Melbourne. So you don't really understand the support that exists until you go through a program like this. And I think that's another really interesting piece, is that startups aren't going to succeed if you're just in your shed doing this by yourself, right? So the harder and faster you can build your network of support and have people on speed dial to say, hey, Nikki, what's your view on this? Or Jonathan, I'm keen to get your ideas on this. That's just, you can't put a dollar value on it. And so for us coming out this backside, I feel we've got a fantastic support network. We've got some tools that we continuously use that we weren't privy to. So the business model canvas and a whole lot of startup tools I think we've probably got our L plates or our sort of L permits to be able to drive those tools on our own merit, on our own behalf. But yeah, it sets us up for a really good start.